Hey everyone, I'm going to show you how to screencast from your iOS or Android device. So where this might become useful is if you've made an application that you plan to release to the App Store. What the App Store will ask you is if you want to upload a video. It won't be required, it'll be optional, but you should treat it as if it's required. The reason for this is because when you upload a video, it really helps out in terms of App Store optimization, otherwise known as ASO. Which will help in your application being discovered. Not only that, but if you screencast how your application functions, people who potentially download or purchase your application will know exactly what they're getting themselves into. And overall, it's just really good to use. So this is a very developer-oriented tutorial. So you will need to have. So if you're using, if you plan to do this for Android, you need to have the Android SDK installed. Not as much as required when it comes to Mac. So the requirements are, if you want to screencast for iOS, you need to have a Mac computer. But the only requirement for Android is that you need to have the Android SDK installed and configured. It doesn't matter if you're using Mac, Windows, or Linux when you try to screencast with a Android device. But in terms of the Android device software, you do need to have an Android device that runs 4.4 or higher, which is actually pretty common nowadays. So you shouldn't worry too much about this. I think most devices on the market have Android 4.4 or higher. So don't let that deter you. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is I first want to show the iOS side of things. So what we can do is with every Mac ships QuickTime. So QuickTime is a movie recording software. You can use it to screencast to your desktop. You can use it to create new videos. You can make audio recordings from it. You can also record from your iOS device. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and launch QuickTime here. I'm going to say New Movie Recording. So if it hasn't already, I have my iPad plugged into my Mac right now. But you'll also notice that there's a recording symbol here, and as well as a little drop down. If yours defaults to your iSight camera, go ahead and select your iPad or iPhone or iPod Touch or whatever it may be, and then it will allow you to use it. So if I log into my iOS device, you see everything that I do as I use my application. So this is a great way, and then you could of course click the record button and it'll record everything that you do, and it's actually a really good demonstration. So let me close that out. That was the easy side of things. Now we're going to focus more on the Android side, which although is a little more complicated, it's not necessarily difficult. You will need your terminal open. So for me, I already have mine open. You could use a command prompt as well. Depends on what operating system you're on. But inside of your terminal, let me center this. Go ahead and say ADB shell screen record. And then what we're going to do is we're going to type in a path to save the screen recording on. So this is a path that's local to your Android device, not your computer. So it'd be SD card, and I'm just going to say example.mp4. So that's where it's going to save at. So as soon as I hit enter, it will start recording everything that I do on my Android device, which is currently plugged into my computer. So let's try it. All right, so it didn't work this first time because this is the first time I plugged my Android device into this particular computer, so I had to confirm that it was a trusted machine. So let's go ahead and try that again. All right, so it's now actively recording my screen. You won't see it live on your computer, but I am playing around with it on my device, and I'll show you it when I'm done. So I'm just recording a short little video here of me playing around with my phone in my hand. All right, I'm currently done, so I'm going to use the Control-C command, and that will stop the recording. Now to retrieve that recording, right now I have navigated into a particular directory on my computer. I'm going to say ADB pull, and then /SD card /example.mp4. All right, it copied it over. So now if I open up this current working directory, you can see here is my example. I'll go ahead and open it with QuickTime to play what I was playing around with. So this is the device, and you'll see I play around with it in just a second. Yeah, I'm swiping around between screens. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. You'll notice that it's not particularly clear. That's because by default, it records at 4 megabits per second, which that's the default. It's all right. You can get the point across, but if you want clear quality, you would increase that. I tend to use 12. So if you're unfamiliar with the command, let's take a look. So we can say adb shell screen record --help and see what commands are supported here. When I say the rate, I mean the bit rate. So for example, say I wanted to do the following. I could do adb shell screen record, and then of course SD card, and then whatever I want to call it, I'll just call it example. Again, I'm not actually going to run this, but then I would say bit rate, and then if I wanted 12, I would say 12 and then 6 zeros, because when you type it in, it's going to be in bits per second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I would hit enter. This will create a significantly larger file size, but also a significantly better quality video. So it all depends on what your needs are. And just like that, I mean, we didn't really need to pay for any software. We didn't need to do anything special, and it wasn't particularly difficult to do.